Okay, I'll get started. Thank you for joining me this fine Wednesday night. My name is Brendan. I'm the Chief Instructor and founder of Pantaktica in Mindguarde. I have notes here, so I'll be looking down every now and again, but I'll be giving you my insight into things. I'm a combat artist. When I say combat artist, it's different than a martial artist, in my view. Martial artist is your traditional sort of Southeast Asian or Asian combat arts, whereas I do boxing and wrestling as well, which are not traditionally martial arts. So I call it combat arts. If you hear me refer to combat arts, that's what I mean throughout this presentation. But also to that, I have about 30 years policing experience, most of which has been in the use of force field. What that means is that I have actually trained people on how to use everything that hurts, basically. So firearms, taser, button, defensive tactics, and in amongst that has been my ability to review and look over different video footage and be able to see events that unfold in front of me on video, on CCTV, and be able to see commonalities in people's responses or attacks. A couple of years ago at the Commonwealth Games, I was given the task of developing a capability where I led, selected, taught and operationally deployed members of the police to detect hostile intent within crowds. In amongst that training and in amongst that deployment, I guess, I found that the tools that were learnt there should be available to everybody and not just within localised law enforcement. And that's basically what Pantaktica is. It's a methodology of identifying behaviours prior to being attacked to assist you in avoiding potential danger moments before it hits. So basically, just about everyone's had a car accident at some stage in their life. And if I was to say to you, your last car accident, if I was able to press pause, rewind it back, and give you an extra 5 seconds to avoid the accident, 5 seconds is a lot, and you would do a lot in that 5 seconds in order to avoid the accident. That's basically what I'm gifting you. Not just in accidents, car-related incidents, but also in real life, walking in amongst the public. So it's a three-pronged sort of process. The first one was basically it's a one-day course, followed by another 2-day, followed by another 2-day. You can do the whole lot, and it's 5 days. However, I'm working on the first day actually being online as well, so you can do it anywhere in the world. And basically what happens in that first day is that we go through your who, what, where, when, how, and why. And I've spoken about particularly who, what, where, when recently. You can go back and look at those videos. But basically identifying those instances in your life that are pinch points whereby this is potentially where you may be attacked or you might be at threat. It allows you then to relax in the times that aren't pinch points as much. Because if you're amped up the whole time, you'll end up having a heart attack in about 5 minutes. So the idea is to know where your dangerous areas are or potential dangerous areas are and be able to identify those and be able to relax the other times. But those times where you know there are pinch points and also the areas where it's unknown, such as when you're travelling, fly in, fly out, down at schoolies or something like that where it's an unknown sort of environment to your normal. This is where Pantaktica also checks in, whereby we'll teach you how to establish a baseline. The baseline is basically the normal for that area. So by looking at the normal behaviours in the area, then we'll teach you how to identify threats within that area because they'll stick out. There's certain behaviours that stick out in the environment that everyone else is not doing. And then once you've identified what those potential threats are, you're given the ability to be able to move away from, or God forbid that you actually move into or have to deal with the actual situation in front of you. So the first part is about identifying that there is a threat there and possibly avoiding it before you even get to it. Days 2 and 3 take it a little step further, whereby any possible attacks on you are separated into 4 areas, and that is unarmed, bladed, blunt objects, so sticks, fence palings, crowbars, and also firearms. So over those 2 days, I'll talk about the most common attacks, how people will present when they go to attack, if they're likely to kick or the punch or elbow or anything like that. We'll go through those. We'll go through commonalities for where people will conceal knives and how they'll actually draw them out to you. We'll also show you many common strikes using a blunt object, and also common drawing methodologies for firearms. And also in those 2 days is just basic disengagement. It's when something's about to happen, let's say they're about to pull a knife on you and you know it's a knife, it's just that disengage and get away. Yep. And the last 2 days out of the 5 days is what you would traditionally know as self-defense, whereby, someone grabs you by the arm, this is how you disengage and get away. So we go through a whole plethora of unarmed combat situations and armed combat situations, just in case it's unavoidable, because you either walk into a threat or the threat walks up to you. The trick is, and I guess the most important part, is identifying it before you get to it so that you can avoid it, otherwise it's an ambush. So that's the 3 days. Now, Pantaktica goes a little bit further than that. There is combat arts components that are added onto that, which are in addition to the 5-day course. So if you want to go that little bit extra, then we can teach you more stick, we can teach you more knife, we can teach you more gun, we can teach you more unarmed combat stuff, like you would at a normal combat arts or martial arts school. There's weekly lessons, it can be online. I've got online content to be able to put on there, so that's there ready for you. So that's Pantaktica. I'm going to talk about Mindguarde now and how and why that came about. But as a human being, I am, and you are as well, constantly confronted with many cerebral attacks, both in person and online, that can bring your world crash into its knees. It can make you feel vulnerable, weak, and confused about your safety and your purpose in the world. I, like a lot of people before me, once suffered a breakdown where my own tough self-view was called into question. Now remember, I'm a combat artist, 30 years policing experience. There's nothing I hadn't seen or done and dealt with very well. So I had a tough view of my own life. But when this happened, I was asking questions like, what was that? What caused it? How do I stop that from happening again? But while at the same time, there was a very loud voice in my head, and we all have this voice, and we usually refer to it as that, the little voice in your head that was saying things like, you're weak. You've let people down. People will know that you're weak. Those sort of things, etc., etc. So I knew I had a choice. I either had to fight back or I let myself go down in a spiral. And this is basically how and why Mindguarde was created. Over a period of recovery, I trialed a lot of different things. So the thing with Mindguarde is I don't have a psychology degree or psychiatrist degree, but I have fought in the trenches as far as mind matters are concerned. I've been there, I've tried a lot of different things, I have experiences, and that's where Mindguarde comes in. It's been developed through my own experiences to help you either recover or to never let it happen to you. So it's through my own hard-fought experiences that I now gift to you. It's protection for your most precious commodity that you have, and that's your mind. Mindguarde is a mental self-defense system that helps you to identify trauma and triggers throughout your day, discover your own methodologies to retake back control of your mind and your life, and then to fortify your thoughts and reactions, making you impenetrable to external control. But the problem is that if you go elsewhere than Pantaktica and Mindguarde, is if you go to a self-defense class, they're often outdated. A lot of martial arts are based on feudal times. A lot of the techniques are based on, over 100 years ago, and sometimes they don't apply. Sometimes they do, but they can be unrealistic as a result. Or God forbid it's something you forget because you don't keep the training up. It's not easy to remember, it's complicated. And when it comes time to do anything, you just can't do it. And then when it comes to mental training, it's either too generic, it's too soft, and often disconnected from real pressure situations. So what happens then is that when stress does get to you, you'll freeze. When danger strikes, you'll panic. So what's the solution? Pantaktica teaches you what dangers to look for and how to look for them. It's about practical, reality-based self-protection, a mix of combat arts and situational awareness built for the real world, not a padded dojo. Now you see I'm in my training area. There is a time and place for a dojo. But we also have to look at the real world, and that most of the time we get attacked, in fact all the times we really get attacked, for real, is not in a dojo. It's not wearing a gi. It's in real life. It's wearing your go-to-work clothes. And also with the solution, there's also Mindguarde, right? That's where we build mental resilience. We teach focus, control, and composure under stress, using proven techniques to keep you calm and sharp at the same time, no matter what's happening around you. The big thing with Mindguarde is it doesn't teach you what to think. It teaches you how to think. And that's an individual journey. Depending on what triggers me might not trigger you. What traumas I've got, you probably don't have. How you identify that is your own journey. And how you recover from it or fortify it is also your own journey. What works for me might not work for you. But what will give you is the tools to be able to find out how do I protect my mind from external pressures. Now, if you put them both together, that is Pantaktica and Mindguarde, it's a pretty complete self-protection performance system, if you think about it. And what it'll do is it'll make sure you're ready everywhere, every time, with a fortified mental attitude. So with Pantaktica, we have a vision, and it's pretty simple. It's to make physical safety and mental strength training something everybody can access. I do see that within 5 years, Pantaktica and Mindguarde as global leaders in readiness training, helping millions of people like yourself to think sharper, act faster, and live safer, stronger lives. It's about creating a world where preparation isn't rare, it's the norm. The thing is, do you want to be part of this revolution, or do you want to stay where you currently are? For me, it's a business, but really it's not. It's a movement. If you want to take control of your safety, your performance, your life, Mindguarde and Pantaktica is where you start. With Pantaktica and Mindguarde, you take control of your body, your mind, and that gives you the advantage. Just going to go through now the first part of Mindguarde. There is 10 chapters to it, or 10 parts to it. There'll be 10 lessons in the basic component of Mindguarde. I can see it expanding. It's broken into 3 individual parts, each with 3, and 4 lessons within it. Part 1 is all about the threats to your mind. What I've found in a lot of mental health type training is that you have to identify what it is that triggers you and what the trauma is, and not react to it, not be emotional about it. And to identify what that is, how it's affecting you, and how you can stop it from doing that. Everything does that. If you go through meditation and those sort of channels, it is about observing your emotions and identifying what it is. And that's what makes you feel better, or makes you better. So I'm going to start this with a quote. The first step in reclaiming your mind is realizing it's already been taken. So this is the first chapter, or the first lesson. I'm just giving you an abridged version of it. There is an exercise at the end. I'm not going to pause to let you do it or anything like that, but you can take this away and apply it and just see what enemy, I guess, you have in front of you. But the first lesson is about the cognitive hijack. And this just tells you how your mind is being targeted. So you don't need to be handcuffed or locked in a room to be controlled. Control can look like addiction to your phone. It can be like reacting before thinking, like forgetting who you are in a crowd of opinions. And let me tell you, there are lots of opinions out there. Control today looks like choice, but choices shaped by invisible influences are not truly your own. We live in an age of cognitive warfare, and most people have no idea they're even in the war, let alone that they're casualties. In the past, wars were fought with swords, then it was guns, then it was drones, but now a lot of the battles are fought online with your mind. This is done through notifications, algorithms, emotional triggers, false urgency, and subliminal conditioning. You guys are aware of this. You've seen it. You've been shown it. But it's not only online, it's also in the physical world. These are things like gaslighting, guilt tripping, flattery, silent treatment, lying and blackmail, just to name a few. And people may use, charm or coercion, reason or degradation. The tactics may differ online and in person, but it's just people's way of gaining power, control, and achieving their own interests, and it's usually at your expense. Everything you interact with, whether it's the news, whether it's an app, is optimized not for your clarity, but for your reaction. So what's the goal? It's to grab your attention, to guide your emotion and steer your decisions. Not with violence, but with precision. So who's controlling the narrative? Every platform, brand and personality you engage with is part of a larger battle for your mental real estate. So here's how it works. First of all, they'll present something emotionally charged, and this can make you angry, fear, envy, desire. I want what that person's got. Secondly, they capture your attention through your brain's ancient survival circuitry. They trigger dopamine to create micro-addictions. So now you've got to keep scrolling. And then subtly nudge you toward a belief, a decision, or a behaviour that platform wants. In a world where the loudest voices win, those who stay calm, clear, and conscious are a rare breed. You're not broken, you're just untrained. So here's the truth. You're not lazy, you're not weak. You've just been out-trained by systems built to bypass your defences. This training exists to bypass that. Mindguarde will help you build cognitive armour to detect and deflect psychological influences. Create an internal operating system that resists emotional hijacking. Forge mental discipline so you can respond with strength, not reflex. So remember before how I said there was an exercise? Here's a little exercise, and every chapter has at least one exercise within it. And this one's only a little one. And this one's all about scanning for influence. So right now, think about either your last 5 social media posts that you looked at, maybe news articles, or even last conversations, or a mixture of those. So think of those, and now ask yourself, what emotions did this try to trigger in me? Once you've got that, what belief is it trying to reinforce or weaken? And then once you've got that, who benefits from me thinking, feeling, or acting in whatever way they want me to? This is the beginning of mental self-protection, learning to observe before reacting. So the tactical truth, if you don't train your mind, someone else is or will be. You wouldn't walk through a war zone without body armour. Yet millions walk through digital and emotional war zones every day unprotected. By the end of this training, by the end of Mindguarde training, you won't be just armoured. You will be a weapon, one that stays cool under pressure, sees through manipulation, and leads with clarity, not chaos. That's certainly something that I've always wanted, and I hope that you do too. the very next session after this one, we begin constructing that armour, which is the foundation of the Mindguarde system. But first, remember this, and I'll leave you with this. Your mind is your first, last, and only line of defence. Guard it well. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. It is only a short session. I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of a view of what my goals are with Pantaktica and with Mindguarde, the new course. It's my shirt. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, for further information, check out our website, www.pantaktica.com. Join me on Facebook, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel. If you can subscribe to that, you'll get to see some great insights into Pantaktica. Looking forward, I do have the courses ready to go. The only problem is with the courses that in order for me to deliver them, I kind of need about 10 people or more to be able to deliver it. So if you're a company or a group of people, we're able to get 10 together, I'm more than happy to deliver. However, there are online components very imminent, both with Pantaktica, the self-protection methodologies, Mindguarde principles, as well as the combat arts components of Pantaktica. I thank you once again for joining me, and I hope to see you again in the future.